Good morning, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started in just a minute. We're going to make sure everyone has an opportunity to get into this Zoom session.
All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you for joining us. My name is Amy Fosek, and I am one of the technology and innovation coaches. And I will be presenting alongside Lauren Swissman, who is also a technology and innovation coach.
Good morning, or good afternoon almost, everyone.
Yes, so we're going to be presenting on Canvas for Littles. So sharing with you some templates and tips and tricks for making Canvas very usable for our littlest learners. So this webinar will be recorded and will be posted on your professional professional development catalog. So if you miss anything during this webinar, the video link will be posted. If you have questions during this webinar, if it is a question that is specific to you, if you could private message me that question. If it is a question that you think will benefit the group, go ahead and send that to everyone. Again, Lauren will be going over a lot of features within Canvas. If you would like to explore those features more in depth, you can visit our PUSD Digital Teaching Resource site, and we have webinars on those specific tools in that site, as well as visiting your Professional Development 2020 catalog, and there'll be webinars for you to watch on a lot of the features we will be going over. So this 1 hour training, again, will have a lot of information in it. We will try to have time at the end for you to explore some of the resources and ask questions. If you need access to the slide deck we're using, the bit.ly link is in the chat, and it is also at the bottom of several of the slides.
Thank you, Amy. All right, let's go ahead and go over today's agenda. We're going to start with homepage and organization. Then we'll go into some tips and tricks and end with showing you some Canvas guides and some time for question and answer. So throughout today's webinar, we'll be sharing and focusing on what it is that works for our youngest learners rather than how to create many of these features. So again, we're focusing on what works rather than that technical aspect. If there are technical things that we're sharing that you maybe are not familiar with or you're not sure how to do, we've embedded we have linked a lot of these how-to guides and tutorials on the last slide of our deck. So if you go to the last slide in the Google slide deck that we've shared, you'll find many Canvas how-to guides and tutorials so that you can create many of the things that we've been discussing. If you have specific questions about how to do things you're unfamiliar with, again, we won't be talking about them in today's session. However, you can find the guides on that slide, or email us at our EdTech email address, which is edtech@powayuc.com, or private message Amy on today's chat. All right, let's go ahead and get started with homepage and organization. So these are two vital elements to making your Canvas course accessible to young learners. Just like we wouldn't give them a huge textbook with a lot of text in it and not a lot of pictures at the beginning of the school year, same thing with our Canvas course. We have to make sure that it has lots of images, that it's organized in a way that makes sense to our youngest learners. So today I'm going to share with you three main options organizations that work best for these little ones. Now, there's so many ways within Canvas that you can organize your homepage and your layout, and that's what makes Canvas so amazing. So that's why we've just chosen 3 today, but please know that even as we're presenting these 3 options, you can adapt them to make them best fit you in your classroom. Okay. Before I show you these 3 options, I just want to go over some terms for organization. The first thing is you can organize your Canvas course by day or by week. So you might give them all of that day's work each day, or you could give them a week's worth of work at a time and content. We don't recommend giving a whole month calendar for them to click on, as that might be a bit overwhelming for our young learners. The next facet to look into in terms of organization within your Canvas course are pages, assignments, and modules. So the way we like to think about this is a module is a folder, and pages and assignments are things you can put into that folder or that module. A module is a way to organize all of your content within a course. So if you choose to build a module, it's like saying, okay, here's a folder of all the work that needs to be done and things you need to see and links you need to click. Whereas pages and assignments are just the things you're putting into that module. You have a choice of whether you want to use modules or not, and I'll show you a little bit about what that looks like. Or you can just share with students individual pages and assignments. The big difference between a page and an assignment is that an assignment is tied to a due date. It's if you would like it to be. If not, you can make it no due date, or you can make it tied to the speed grader. So if you would like to do grading within Canvas, assignments are great to do so that students can submit things and you can put in a grade right there. All right. So this slide here, slide 6, there are 2 links on here for you to have access to. This first big link here is the link to view, so you're not editing or changing or importing, the Canvas course I'll be using today to demonstrate these options and features. Now, if you would like to import it into your own course and make it your own and change it for how you want to use it, you can click this link down here starting tomorrow. We imported this course that we're demoing into the Canvas Commons. If you're not familiar with Canvas Commons, the Canvas Commons is a shared space for any teacher to upload a course, a template, a module, anything they'd like to share with other teachers. So I have put this Canvas template we'll be using today into Canvas Commons so that you can use it and download it into your course. However, it is taking some time to upload. So if you click it today, it'll say still pending. However, it should be available for you to import into your course as of tomorrow or late tonight. So let me go ahead and take you to the course where I'll be showing the options today. So going back to those 3 options for organization and home pages, let's go ahead and start with this first option, which is pages by day. So you can see in this option here, the teacher has the home page here. She has a welcome sign, a morning meeting button, and then for her schedule, she simply just has the days of the week listed. The students would click on a specific day. So in this instance, they clicked on Friday, and it took them to a page that was dedicated just for that day's work. And within that day, you can see they have a list in order of the activities, assignments, things they need to view, links they need to click on, all for that day. Let's look and see what that looks like live. So again, this would be the home page. Maybe you have tools at the bottom and resources, but they would simply click, let's say if it was Monday, and be taken to Monday's page. So if they had Zoom for morning meeting, they would click on Zoom. Maybe after that, they'd watch a video. They'd click on an assignment they have to do. If let's say they have a seesaw activity, they could click on that. So the day is organized all in one page. And again, this is not a full example of what your complete day would look like. I'm just trying to give you some examples of what you might embed on the page here. Also, please notice that it's not, I didn't just write the word Zoom and Seesaw in. I put in those pictures. As you know, kids, especially in the beginning of the school year, maybe they aren't fluent readers yet. Putting these images, they definitely know and they learn quickly what these images stand for. So putting these images in for them to click can also be very helpful. One other thing to note is that if you want to link them to an external tool such as Seesaw or Flipgrid or Epic Books, not only can you just link it to their seesaw.com or getepic.com, you can link to that specific activity, which can be super helpful for young learners who may be not sure how to navigate those tools. So for example here, the teacher wanted them to do a reading activity on Seesaw. It takes them exactly to that activity they need to complete rather than just the Seesaw homepage. We want to give those young learners as few clicks as possible to get to the work they need to do. Okay. So that is our option one, organizing by day using pages. So there'd be a page for each day. Our second option, again, is organized by day. You have that same home page. However, when you click each page, click each day, rather than it take you to one page, it takes you to a module. Let's take a look at what that looks like. So here's our modules by day homepage, very similar to the pages by day. But when I click on Monday this time, rather than it take me to the Monday page, it took me to the Monday module. So you can see here's our module, or as I said, it's very similar to a folder. And here are all the things within the folder that we would like that student to complete for the day. Now, a benefit of using modules, if I go to that first link here, is that let's say they open that first page of the module, they watch the video for their flower lesson. Within modules, they can navigate to go back to the previous activity or go forward to the next activity. So if a parent sets them up in the morning and says, okay, click through this morning's activities or click through Monday's activities, all they need to know is the previous and next buttons. So in this Monday module, they can just keep clicking through until they finish all the activities that they need to do. So rather than all those days' activities be on one page where they scroll down, in this instance, they click previous or next to navigate between all the different things that they need to watch or read or engage in. A couple of things I want to point out within this module. This is an example of when our students cannot read the directions. We can often go ahead and record our directions and just teach them when you see this, you can go ahead and hit play. So here's an example.
Click the link below and complete the matching activity.
So I'll show you how to do that later on in today's webinar. However, that can be really helpful for our young learners. If we can't insert an image and we really need to explain the directions, to record our directions within a module. All right. So we have the pages by day option, modules by day, and we're going to go down to the pages by week. Now this home page is a little different here. Rather than the days of week be on that home page, it just shows this week's schedule. Once they click that, they're brought to a page that has the entire week's worth of work. So let's take a look at what that looks like. So here's this week's schedule. And very similar to like the Monday page where it was broken apart by day, here's the Monday work. However, when you keep scrolling, you go into Tuesday's work and you would insert the work to do here, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So very similar to the pages by day, except for here, everything is all together as the week. Now, there's one thing I want to go ahead and jump back to our modules that I want to share that was asked about in this morning session. With modules, what you can do is you can set some limits here so that students have to go in order, or complete certain things before moving on to the next. That can be very helpful. Right now it's set that the students can go back and forth between all of Monday's assignments. However, it could be set that the student has to finish one assignment before moving on to the next one, if that's something that you would like to set. Another thing to note is I put Monday in here. Maybe I started building Tuesday's module, Wednesday's module, but let's say I don't want the students to see the next day's work yet. What I can do is unpublish it, and you can see here it's not published yet. So I, as a teacher, am the only one that can see Tuesday's work. That's also really helpful with modules and also pages. You can unpublish them so that students cannot see or access the next day's work or that next unit if you do not want them to.
Lauren, do you mind just going over how, so say you have your schedule completed on your homepage and it links to the daily work for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Well, now we're at the end of the week. How would a teacher then connect their homepage to the next week's work?
So are you saying, I just want to make sure I understand, if all the links were on the homepage?
Yes.
Okay, so I believe I have that example here. Let me pull it up for those of you that are maybe not sure of the one that we're talking about. So I didn't share this option. It's option number 4, you can see here. We usually recommend this one for older learners because in here, all the links and everything is on the home page. However, everything would click in a new tab. So anytime I needed to open anything here, the older learners would have to navigate back to this main page. Things aren't actually built in here. Everything's linked out from here. So this would cause the learner to have more clicks and they would better need to be able to navigate the computer. However, if you think that your students are able to handle this, it's a really great way to organize it for you if you'd like to keep it this way. So if you kept the schedule on the homepage like this, something you could do is I would just simply cut this all out and paste it in a new page that says week of and write the week date schedule so that they could still access this. And then maybe put a button here that says previous week's schedules. Does that answer that question?
Yes, so, but this template is provided in our Canvas for Littles template, correct?
Yes, so if you, tomorrow, once you import this content and you view all the pages, here are all your options that I just talked about. Do you want to set it up pages by day, modules by day, pages by week, or that last option I just showed you? So let's say you do want this older learners option. You can go ahead up to the top right corner, and we have directions for this on the last slide of the slide deck, and use this as your front page. So now this becomes your home page or your front page, and you can adapt it or make changes to it however you might need.
Mm-hmm. And although we say, you know, this one typically we'd use for an older learner, so maybe a student in first grade and beyond, I would say could navigate this one. If this works better for you and you have a kindergarten or a TK class, absolutely use it. It really comes down to teacher preference. And Lauren, do you mind just quickly going into your modules and just showing how you would lock a module so or make it a must complete for students?
Sure. So here's my Monday module. At the top right corner of the module, I'm going to click the 3 dots and click Edit. So I can lock it until, and I pick a date. So they won't be able to do anything in it until that specific date. I can also add requirements. So I can require that they must move through in sequential order. So maybe the order I place them in is the order I want them to do it. Or I can say they don't have to necessarily go in sequential order. However, they must complete this activity first by viewing it before that they can move on. Or maybe I want them to complete the math video lesson. Let's make sure they watch that math video before moving on to that math assignment. So just some ways that you can monitor their pacing throughout a module.
And then Lauren, can you go back to one of the home pages that is, let's say the one where it is a daily schedule linked on the home page? And just show how if you had linked where it says schedule, if you linked it to Monday's page, how then you would edit to unlink it. So for the next week, how you would select that page.
Sure. So there's a couple ways you go about this, right? This is this week's Monday. I have all my work in here, but obviously for next week, I need to put all the new Monday's things in. So there's a couple things I can do. I can keep this the same. This is what I recommend. Keep this the same. And I would just probably cut all of this out. So I'd go up to edit here. I would take everything out that I don't want, click save, and then I would paste that in Monday and write the date. So maybe it was last Monday, Monday 8/16, and put that in another page for reference if students need to go back to a previous week. And then I would start putting in the coming Monday's work in this one. Another way you could do this is I can just save this page. I can just change the name of this page to Monday and put in the date of last week's Monday or whatever it might be, and then create a new Monday page for the following Monday and link that to the home page. I know that's a little bit confusing. There's just a couple of ways you can go about it if you want to save the work from prior weeks. Any other questions, Amy? You can store the old page. What you could do is make an old module, or you could go ahead on the home page and make a button that says last week's work or prior week's work, and then bring them to a page or a module where it keeps all of the previous week's work. I had a teacher I was working with last week who decided that she was going to cut out each day's work and paste it in one long page for students to view just the whole week together. Even though originally she was presenting it day by day, she decided to save it in a whole long page once she archived it for students to view if they needed to go back to.
Yes, and if you are using, if you choose to have your students go by modules to get their day's work, you can just take the brand new module and move it to the top of the page, up to the top. So watch, you can see Lauren is just taking and moving the entire module up.
Yeah,
so that's the first thing that students see.
Yeah, it makes it a little bit easier with modules to kind of just start a whole new one and say, I just rename this Monday and put the date in, or Tuesday and put the date in, and then start a whole new Tuesday with the new date as well. So again, Canvas has so many ways to organize this. It's really what works best for you and your students. Any other questions before we move on, Amy?
I am looking here. Could you please? I think we're okay right now. So
Okay.
when you link to an outside tool onto your playlist, you know, the first time students will have to sign in so that it recognizes them. But if they're toggling back and forth throughout the day, they only have to do that sign in once, because it will be open and it will continue to recognize them.
Correct. So let's say for this activity, I click load the seesaw activity. I might have to log in once. Oops, I'm already logged in here. I might have to log in once, but see how I was already logged in there? I want to make sure not to show any students' names or anything. I didn't have to log in again. It already recognized me. Okay. If there are no more questions about the homepage options, we're going to go ahead into some tips and tricks. So this first one is student view, and please note that every single, except for this last one, title linked on slide 11 brings you to a tutorial. So if I click this one, it'll let me know how to do what it is I'm explaining. This first one is student view, which makes it super easy to see what students will be viewing. So let me go to this home page, and notice I have a ton of options on my right side. I have a ton of options on my left side. Now, if I want to see what the students will see, not the teachers, I can click on this right-hand side, student view, and notice how a lot of my options disappeared. This is exactly what your students will see. And this is really helpful, especially with those young learners. If I want to put myself in their shoes and think, okay, will this work for my students? What is it they're going to be seeing so that I can give them clear directions? I highly recommend previewing your work in student view. And I know I'm in student view because at the very bottom here, it tells me with this purple bar, you are logged into student view. And you can see on the left side here, I've really minimized my left side navigation bar. We call this a navigation bar here, with very few links. And this is also something I highly recommend that you do, is put as few links on the left side as possible, especially when we do not have readers in our classroom just yet. We want to make sure that there's less text and more pictures, right? So on this left-hand side, maybe I just want benchmark and my plan, whatever it is that's best for you and your students. So I'm going to go ahead and leave the student view. Now you can see all of the options came back up. And I'm going to go ahead and show you how you would take or change the order of the left navigation bar. So I'm going to go ahead down to settings. And again, these directions are on the slide in case you want to reference them later. Once I'm in settings, I'm going to go to navigation. And I can drag and drop items to reorder them in my course navigation. So up here is everything that I have for students to see. Down here is everything I've hidden from students. So maybe I want to move attendance up. Maybe I want Google Drive in there. Maybe I want this to be higher up, whatever it might be. I can make those changes, click submit, and now my left sidebar changes. So the ones that have the crossed out eye on it are the ones that I can see but students cannot see. Any questions about those two features, student view and the sidebar navigation?
I think we're good. Lauren, I don't know this answer offhand. Yeah. Do you know in the navigation bar, can you add pictures or images?
Cannot. Unfortunately, okay. You cannot. That's why it's so important to add those pictures on your home page. So for example, if I want my students to be going on Epic every day for independent reading, and for those of you that don't know what Epic is, it's a great free site for students to read text, and they're high quality text as well. So maybe I would just link a button here to Epic. So when I click it, it would take me to the Epic website. And again, I put pictures down here so that they can recognize the symbols that match that tool.
Yes. Again, as we're going through, I'm trying to get to the questions as quickly as possible. If I did not get to your question, it means that it's kind of gotten lost in the chat. So please just, if you don't mind putting it back in, if it was something that I have not answered yet.
I do see, as you were talking, Amy, a question about groups. And we have to be careful kind of with our words here. I know in the classroom, we're used to putting kids in groups, especially small groups. Within Canvas, if you want to do different groups with students, assign them different work, you would put them in different sections rather than groups. And we can link resources for sections. And there's also going to be a completely different Canvas training on collaboration and sections. I highly recommend you attend that one if maybe you have a multi-grade or multi-age classroom where you'll be doing lots of different assignments. I highly recommend attending that webinar, as that one can better talk to how you might break things up into sections. However, it is fully possible to assign different things to different kids or only show some things to certain groups of kids. So the next thing I want to go into is the rich content editor and theme. And yay, me and Amy were super excited about this one. We heard about this one last year coming out, this feature, and it's been long awaited, and we're so glad it's here for virtual learning. The rich content editor is a way to make designing your course a whole lot easier. So whether you're a newbie with Canvas or you've been using it for a while, this could really benefit everyone. Let me go ahead and show you what that might look like. So I'm going to go ahead and pretend that I am making a new page. Oops, I hit people. Pages. Make a new page. Now, if you are familiar with Canvas, you might say, this looks a little bit different up here. These icons are different. There's no sidebar on the right anymore. And that's because we have turned on something called the Rich Content Editor. And this allows us to design in a much more intuitive way. So it kind of reminds me of Google Drive a little bit. So for instance, rather than click image on the right or click as it was in the past, I can click image here if I want to add an image, click upload image, and there is now drag and drop. Yay! Before you would have to browse your files and do a couple of extra clicks. This makes me very happy. I'm not sure if I'm the only nerd out there that loves the drag and drop, but I find it much easier. So I just picked up this picture from my desktop and I'm going to drag it in here and click submit. And that picture is automatically on my page. I find this a whole lot easier than the older editor, and I really prefer this. So I'll show you how to turn on the editor in just a second if you'd like to use this one. I just want to show you a couple more features of this. Same thing goes for uploading or recording media. I can drag and drop. Let's say I had a video in a desktop file. I could drag it right here. However, there's an embedded recorder. So if you remember earlier, I recorded myself reading directions. So I can, if I want, keep my webcam on, or I can turn it off, and I can record myself making directions right here, or maybe I'm doing a read aloud and I'm reading a book. So in that case, I'd want my camera back on. Whatever it might be, I can simply record it right here. It counts down. I record what I'm going to say. Click save. And it's automatically on that page. So again, super easy access for you to go ahead and put things right into your course, and it's right there. And the last part of the Rich Content Editor here and again, this was the same thing in the old editor. It's just a bit more easy to navigate using external tools, such as BrainPop, if your school subscribes to that, or adding in something from Google Drive. Whatever it might be, you can add that in there. Tables are also great, and now you can go ahead and edit the different colors of the different tables. I know we like to stick to our theme a lot in elementary of the colors that we pick. So again, I can go on and on about the Rich Content Editor and all the things that you can do with it, but I should probably tell you how to turn it on first. Okay, so to turn on the Rich Content Editor, you're going to go to Settings. I'm going to leave that page. And I'm going to go ahead to Feature Options and go down to RCE Enhancements. And you can see mine is slid to on. Now there's one more thing that I turned on here. It is the elementary Canvas theming. And this is purely aesthetic. You may have noticed the font in my course looks a bit like Comic Sans. I'm going to go ahead and turn it off so you can see the difference. So you can see it turns a bit less elementary looking. If I turn it back on, it has more of that playful look. So again, that's purely aesthetic, but if you would like to turn that on for your students or yourself, you may do so. So again, and I showed you the media recorder as well. These are just some tips and tricks for you to make sure that students have access. It's clean and clear for them to access those things. And it's also easy for you to go ahead and add in any content or record yourself there. Any questions about those quick tips and tricks I went through? I know that was super fast and a lot of information, so I want to give you a second if there's any questions.
There's some questions regarding the media recorder. So what Canvas recommends is that because of the bandwidth, you stay around, 5, 6, 7 minutes if you're using it. So, reading a story, definitely you could do that within here. If you're doing something longer than that, that's where I would suggest, okay, I'm going to use an outside tool like Loom and do a screencast of it, and then I'm going to put it within Canvas.
Thanks, Amy.
right. If there are no more questions about what we've gone over so far, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen. And Amy's going to go ahead and go over these last two tips and tricks.
Yes. So the last one is something a few of you just asked about in the chat. And this is a way for you to embed your Google Slides into Canvas and make it interactive. So the one we have linked right here will take you directly to a classroom library. And this one we found actually in Commons. So Commons is a great place to go to find extra resources. So this teacher created an interactive classroom library, and it's a page that's in here. So she linked it on her homepage, and it just says classroom library. So when students click on it, they come to this page, and they can click on any book within here, and it will take them right to that story. So this one happens to be one that she got from YouTube. And what she did is she embedded this YouTube video into Canvas Studio. And Canvas Studio is going to be one of your favorite tools if you are an elementary school teacher, because what we've found is that YouTube is blocked for our youngest learners. So how do we get them access? So rather than trying to find other sources out there that are kind of a workaround for our filter, we want to make sure that we are using that safety filter and embedding those YouTube videos within Canvas. So the way you do that is you are going to go into Canvas Studio. There's Canvas Studio at your main navigation area, and then there's Canvas Studio within each course. Okay, so for this one, if I was embedding, I would go right to my Canvas Studio. Okay, and here's some of the videos that I have in here. So to upload, I'm going to go to my library. Okay, if I was making a collection, so say I wanted a September bookshelf, I can go ahead and click the collection. I can name it September Books, hit create, and now I'm going to add all of those videos that I want my students to have access to for my September library. So then I would go ahead and I would click add video, and I would paste in the URL from my YouTube video. As soon as I clicked add, then that video would appear within my Canvas Studio. Now you can see here what I did to show you a specific example is many of you already opened up the VLA 20 days worth of curriculum that LSS provided. So this was one of the slide decks that was in there. So this is a kindergarten letter H interactive slide deck. So what they did is they built this interactive slide within Google Slides. I can click on the video, right? And then I'm going to embed my link from Canvas Studio within here. So let me show you how I did that again. I go into Studio. I've already uploaded my video into Canvas Studio. So now I just need to go into my library, view my letter H. I'm going to click on Share Media. I'm going to copy my link. This is the place too, if you made a collection or you have a video that you want to share with your colleagues, you can send them the link as well, or you could just add their name by their email and then share that entire collection with them. So say Lauren and I wanted to divide and conquer, and I said, okay, you pull all the videos for September, I'm going to pull all the videos for October. She could build that out in Canvas Studio and then share that entire collection with me, and I could share my entire collection with her. Once you have the link, you go back into your Google slide. You're going to click on the image, insert link. I'm going to insert my Canvas Studio link on that image and hit apply. So now all of these different interactive books, videos, songs are all embedded with into Canvas Studio, which means they're going through the filter so students can safely access them.
Amy, do you mind if I stop you right there just to answer a few
Yep.
questions? Thanks. So questions about if you pay for YouTube yourself and it takes out ads, can students access those? No matter what the YouTube video is, even if it's on a site that's not YouTube, but is still a YouTube video, students cannot simply just click it. It either needs to be embedded on the Canvas page or assignment, or they need to access it from Canvas Studio. So if it's not in Canvas, they cannot watch the YouTube video. There are definitely a bunch of different places you can put it within Canvas. However, they cannot just simply click the link and then let it open a new tab and watch it. It will not work for them unless it's in Canvas directly. So if we just embed a page around with a YouTube video. So just to go over, Amy's showing us the studio way, where you can put them in studio and then you can curate a collection, you can share there, but you can also just embed right from YouTube onto a page and not put it in Canvas. So you kind of have two routes there, and correct me if I'm wrong, Amy. You can put the video into your Canvas Studio, or you can just embed it directly in that page or assignment.
So the big difference is, think of it as when you are embedding the YouTube video on a page, that video is going to live on that page for the students. Where if you use the link from Canvas Studio, you can either make it so it's the URL they're clicking on, or you can link it to a picture. So they would see the image, they can click on the picture, and it would take them to that video. So those are kind of the two different ways that you can embed within Canvas.
Yeah, so Tori just brought up a good way to think about it. It's kind of that teacher area where you're clicking and saving the things that you want to use, and then when you're ready to use them, you bring them over there. So it's kind of that teacher library, your teacher desk for your videos. I like that way of thinking about it.
Absolutely.
And then we have tried this before and it does not work. If you embed a YouTube, you're thinking like us, if you embed a YouTube video into a Google slide and put the Google slide deck into Canvas, it will not work. The way that our system works is that it has to recognize the video itself. So if you try to put it through a third party like Google Slides, it cannot recognize the video and authenticate it and make sure that it's okay for students to view. So it has to be directly in Canvas or Canvas Studio. When putting it in Canvas, you do not need to use Safe YouTube. The reason that we're not talking about Safe Share or Safe YouTube or anything today is that the official way for us to be sharing videos in the safest way possible with students is through Canvas. We're not in control. We don't pay for sites like Safe Share or Safe YouTube. So if something were to go wrong, let's say it did let ads get through or something, that's not in our control. Whereas with the Canvas, we know for sure that it's a surefire way to keep students safe from inappropriate ads or clicking to next videos. Whereas when we put it in third-party content that is we're not subscribed to, it's a little bit out of our control. So that's why we recommend putting it into Canvas, just to be super safe.
All right. So I'll go on to this, Lauren, and then just let me know if you have other questions that come up in the chat. Okay, so I've made this interactive board now for students, and I've linked now all of those videos that I want students to watch into Canvas Studio. So how do I now get this onto my page? So I'm going to show you how to do that right now. So what you're going to do is inside Google Slides, you're going to go to File, Publish to the Web. I'm going to pull this embed code. Again, we have directions to all of this linked at the back if you miss anything, or excuse me, at the end of our slide deck. Now that I have this embed code, I'm going to copy it. I'm going to go back into Canvas, okay? And I want it to be a page, so I'm going to go to my pages. I'm going to click View All Pages so that I can start a new page. If you have the new rich content editor, which I have right here, you're going to click on what looks like a greater than less than sign right here. Do you see this? You're going to click there. I'm going to just paste that coding in, and I'm going to name this really quick. I'm going to hit save, and in pops my Google slide. You can do this same thing for a Google Doc. So if I had an interactive Google Doc, a playlist, or a library like this, I could embed the same thing. And now when students click on it, it's going to take them right to my Canvas studio where I have these videos. So the video itself will pop up for them. Any other questions on that part, Lauren?
I'm gonna go ahead, embed. Wait 1 second, embed directions. There is a question about something else. I put embedding directions. If you're not sure how to find the YouTube embed code, you can find it there. However, you can just use the external tools app. If you go to a page or assignment and click that little outlet plug and then click on YouTube, all you have to do, you don't need the embed code for that. You just paste the link or the title of the video, and then it'll come up and then you select it. So,
yeah, so right in here, I would click on this, and then here's where I would go in to find my YouTube video. Here, I'll just pick one for you. So here's what I'm searching for. I'm just going to click embed, and I'm going to click medium because I don't want it to take over the whole page. And this would be embedded. I could put directions here for students. So please watch the letter E song and then save it.
thanks, Amy. I'm going to go ahead and answer 2 other questions in the chat. Students can do work through Google Slides. You can link it so it opens up in a new tab, or you can have also do this through Google Assignments. There's a whole other webinar training on Google Assignments within Canvas. So again, you could spend a whole hour on that. I recommend, and I believe it's linked on our last slide as well, how to do Google Assignments rather than just link a Google Doc or slides within your course. So I recommend looking there. And then for the rich content editor, if you've started building a course and you turn it on, I promise you your things will not get lost. So that should not be a problem. And the directions for how to turn that on, please just go ahead and go to the last slide. There's directions for how, I'm sorry, the second to last slide where it says rich content editor. If you click on that, it'll bring up directions for how to turn that on. Okay.
So yes, there's a question regarding the interactive slide, the interactive classrooms that were put out. You will need to, we will highly encourage you to put those YouTube links into your Canvas studio. Again, we're looking at student safety here, and yes, it is a little more work on our end to have to take those YouTube videos, put them in studio, get that code and apply it. But again, it's our way of making sure that the content filter works on those videos. Again, I know there was just a lot of information that we went over. So if questions come up, please feel free to reach out to us at edtech@pusd.com as soon as you start kind of playing with it. Also, tutorials on everything we went over in terms of going into more depth on how to use Google Assignment. What's the difference between groups and sections in Canvas? We have webinars on all of those. Canvas also has a wonderful kind of a system that they have in terms of being able to answer questions. So almost anything you need, Canvas has already put out either a video for or a PDF explaining it. If you just, search, Canvas and then what you're trying to do, it will take you to Canvas's site.
I want to go back. There's questions again about, do I embed it or do I put it in Canvas Studio? And I know Amy can elaborate on this as well. It just depends how often you're going to be using that video and how often you're collaborative, which is, I think those are the most important factors here. If you're going to be reusing that video in lots of different assignments, maybe you want to share it with other teachers, I'd say Canvas is the, Studio is the way to go. If you just think you're gonna just use it once and just in that one page or assignment and you don't really wanna share it with anyone, go ahead and embed it. I mean, there's no right or wrong way there. It just is a little bit of a benefit if you put them all in Studio, you kind of have that building library so that even next year or in a different course or later in the year when you wanna review, you have that bank there ready to go.
Yeah, I would absolutely, Lauren. I think if you're making an interactive slide deck with the library and all of that, I would say, you know, absolutely, you'll need to do that extra step with Studio. But if I just needed a quick short video that I wanted on an assignment, my students are going to only watch it once, then I would just embed it. The storage limit on Canvas Studio within a course itself is I think it's 500 megabytes, which is, think of that as like 6 hours worth of content. So that's, you know, it would be 6 hours worth of video streaming that it can store within Canvas Studio. So let me quickly show, somebody is asking just to show one more time how to embed a interactive Google slide into Canvas. So I'm going to go over that one more time. So again, you can do this with a doc or a slide. So I'm going to go to File. I'm going to click Publish to the Web. Going to click Embed, and you'll see there is this long code that comes up. I'm going to copy this. Then I'm going to go back into my Canvas course. And for this purpose, I want the doc or the slide deck to live on a page. So I'm going to go to my pages. I'm going to click View All Pages so that I can have an option to add a page in the corner. This has the new rich content editor. So I'm going to click the greater than less than sign. If you are using the old one, it will say HTML editor at the top, and you'll just click that. Once I click it, I'm going to paste in that embed code, make sure it's titled, and then I'm going to click Save, and it will pop up. And again, any of those links that I've made live will be live for the student. So say I did a Bitmoji classroom with an interactive calendar, and I linked the calendar. When they clicked on the calendar, it would take them to the live page that I linked for them.
Amy, while you're sharing your screen, can you just show when you go into edit how you can drag down that bottom right corner dot so the screen gets bigger? That that waffle grid. I don't know what this, how many dots that is.
Yes. So we're looking at an array down here. If you click on the array, you can pull it down.
Very math teacher of you to
yes. It's a waffle with an extra row. Yes, so this will change your sizing. So if you needed to see it bigger or smaller, it's all right there for you. Are there any other questions coming up in the chat? I know we're running out of time, but we want to try to get to all of your questions before the next webinar.
Just to address a question here, so let's say you had the whole alphabet in a slide deck and you wanted to embed that slide deck. You can't just embed one slide. You would have to take that slide that you want to embed, if you only want to show that one, and put it in an entirely new slide deck and embed just that one deck.
So a question's coming up about the navigation bar on the left and adding things to there. There are some apps and sites that work very nicely with Canvas, and we can add them over there. And there are some that they're still working on it. So for example, Flipgrid, you can add to your course with your specific teacher code on the left-hand side. Seesaw and Canvas are not working together yet. So if you look on the Canvas stream and the Seesaw streams, both sides of each company are trying to get it so it will work, so that you could put Seesaw over here, students could click it, and basically they'd be going through Seesaw but with the Canvas outline. Unfortunately, that is not working yet.
And again, we know that was a lot of information. We wanted to make sure we could get everything in to help you set up for this year. This, again, will be recorded. So if you want to rewatch it again, if you need to click on the tutorials, we are here to help you as you go through this. So feel free to email us at our EdTech email address. And again, thank you so much. And unfortunately, we have to end the session here as we have another one starting in just 3 minutes. So thank you again, and feel free to email us with any questions.
Yes.
Thanks, everyone.